Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Chandri Radha Kala Chandri Radhe. Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Jaishnav and Govinda. We could travel around together. You could be my backup band. So nice. Hare Krishna, good morning, devotees. My name is Manjari Gopika Devi Dasi, and today we will be hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 3. We'll be covering verses 8 through 16, focusing on verse 11. But before we begin, I ask for your blessings that I may speak something pleasing to my spiritual master, to Srila Prabhupada, and to all of the devotees. Let us all together chant the invocation prayers. Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narotamam devim sarvasvatim vyasyam tato jayamudirayet nashtaprayesha badreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. All right, so once again, we are hearing today from Canto 8 of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Chapter 3. We're going to read verses 8 through 16, and then we will come back to verse 11 as our focus today. So this chapter is called Gajendra's Prayers of Surrender. Is there anyone who would like to give a little mini recap of where we are and what's going on, since we're starting at verse 8, in case people haven't heard the previous classes? It's okay. Thought I'd ask. So Gajendra is an elephant, and in his previous life, he was a great king, King Indradyumna. He committed an offense against a sage, and as so often we see in Srimad Bhagavatam, this is a very bad idea. There's always a consequence for offending a sage, and his consequence was that in his next life, he would take birth as an elephant. He was enjoying his elephant life quite a bit, it seems, but he was sporting in the water with his family, and an enormous crocodile attacked him. And he has been fighting for his life. The Bhagavatam says they fight for about 1,000 years. But anyway, at this point, he's coming to the end of this fight. And all of a sudden, with the mercy of the Super Soul, he remembers his life, his previous life as King Indradyumna, and he remembers all of these beautiful prayers that he used to pray to the Supreme Lord. So now he's in his hour where he of most need, and he's saying these prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All right, so text 8 through 9, I guess it is.
The Supreme Personality of Godhead has no material birth, activities, name, form, qualities, or faults. To fulfill the purpose for which this material world is created and destroyed, he comes in the form of a human being like Lord Rama or Lord Krishna. By his original internal potency, he has immense potency, and in various forms, all free from material contamination, he acts wonderfully. He is therefore the Supreme Brahman. I offer my respects to him.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the self-effulgent Super Soul, who is the witness in everyone's heart, who enlightens the individual's soul, and who cannot be reached by exercises of the mind, words, or consciousness.
Text 11. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized by pure devotees who act in the transcendental existence of Bhakti Yoga. He is the bestower of uncontaminated happiness and is the master of the transcendental world. Therefore, I offer my respect unto him.
I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Vasudeva, who is all-pervading, to the Lord's purest form as Lord Nrsimhadev, to the lowest form of an animal, Lord Varadev, who praised impersonalism, to Lord Buddha, and to all the other incarnations. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the Lord, who has no material qualities, but who accepts the three qualities, goodness, passion, and ignorance within this material world. I also offer my respectful obeisances unto the impersonal Brahman effulgence.
I beg to offer my respectful obeisances unto you, who are the super soul, the superintendent of everything, and the witness of all that occurs. You are the supreme person, the origin of material nature and of the total material energy. You are also the owner of the material body, therefore you are the supreme complete. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
My Lord, you are the observer of all the objectives of the senses. Without your mercy, there is no possibility of solving the problem of doubts. The material world is just like a shadow resembling you. Indeed, one accepts this material world as real because it gives a glimpse of your existence.
My Lord, you are the cause of all causes, but you yourself has no cause. Therefore, you are the wonderful cause of everything. I offer my respectful obeisance unto you, who are the shelter of the Vedic knowledge contained in the Shastras like Pankatras and Vedanta Sutra, which are your representations, and who are the source of the Parampara system, because it is you who can give liberation. You are the only shelter for all transcendentalists. Let me offer my respectful obeisance unto you.
My Lord, as the fire in Arani wood is covered, you and your unlimited knowledge are covered by material modes of nature. Your mind, however, is not attentive to the activities of the modes of nature. Those who are advanced in spiritual knowledge are not subject to the regulative principles directed in the Vedic literatures. Because such advanced souls are transcendental, you personally appear in their pure minds. Therefore, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
Thank you. So we'll return now to verse 11, which will be our focus verse today. Satvena pratilabhyaya Naishkarmyena vipashtita Nama kaivalya nataya Nirvana sukha samvide. Please chant. Satvena pratilabhyaya Naishkarmyena vipashtita Nama kaivalya nataya Nirvana sukha samvide. Satvena pratilabhyaya Naishkarmyena vipashita Namakavaya nataya Nirvana sukha samvide. Satvena pratilabhyaya Naishkarmyena vipashita Namakevaya nataya Nirvana sukha samvide. Okay, we can move on to synonyms, and since we have all of them right in front of us, we can just say them together. Satvena, by pure devotional service, pratilabdhyaya, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is achieved by such devotional activities. Naishkarmyena, by transcendental activities. Vipashtita, by persons who are sufficiently learned. Namaha, I offer my respectful obeisances. Kaivalya Nataya, unto the Master of the transcendental world. Nirvana, for one completely freed from material activities. Sukha, of happiness. Samvide, who is the bestower. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized by pure devotees who act in the transcendental existence of Bhakti Yoga. He is the bestower of uncontaminated happiness and is the master of the transcendental world. Therefore, I offer my respect unto him. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be understood only by devotional service. Bhaktyamam abhijananti yavanyash chasmi tattvataha. If one wants to know the Supreme Personality of Godhead in truth, one must take to the activities of devotional service. These activities are called sattva or shuddha sattva. In the material world, activities of goodness, which are symptomatic of a pure Brahman, are appreciated. But the activities of devotional service are shuddha sattva. In other words, they are on the transcendental platform. Only by devotional service can one understand the Supreme. Devotional service is called naishkarmya. Mere negation of material activity will not endure. Naishkarmyam apyachutta bhava varjitam. Unless one performs activities with reference to Krishna consciousness, cessation of material activities will not be helpful. In hopes of achieving naishkarmya, freedom from material action, many highly elevated sannyasis stopped their activities, yet they failed and returned to the material platform to act as materialistic persons. But once one is engaged in the spiritual activities of bhakti yoga, one does not fall down. Our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore an attempt to engage everyone always in spiritual activity, by which one becomes transcendental to material actions. The spiritual activities of Bhakti Marg, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, lead one to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, as stated here, Satvena Pratilabdhaya Naishkarmya Vipashtita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is realized by pure devotees who act in the transcendental existence of Bhakti Yoga. The Gopala Tapani Upanishad says, Bhaktir asya bhajanam tad iha mutropadi nairasye naiva mushmim manasa kalpanam etad eva cha naishkarmyam. This is a definition of naishkarmya. One acts in naishkarmya when he fully engages in Krishna-conscious activities without material desires to enjoy, either here or in the upper planetary systems, in the present life or in a future life, iha amudra. Anya bilashita shunyam. When one is freed from all contamination and he acts in devotional service under the direction of the spiritual master, one is on the platform of naishkarma. By such transcendental devotional service, the Lord is served. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Jai Srila Prabhupada. In today's verse, Gajendra is offering heartfelt prayers we hear to the Supreme Lord. And he points out something that, if you think about it, may seem paradoxical. Although God, the Lord himself, is inconceivable, he's beyond the range of material senses and our minds, still, he can be known. How? Through bhakti yoga. And this idea, this truth really, it's not an idea, that Krishna becomes accessible to anyone and everyone through devotion. It's not unique to this verse, it's not unique to this chapter, it's not unique to this canto. It is a consistent truth spoken by Krishna himself throughout all of Shastra, throughout all of Vedic literature. So we can begin just looking at the first, not the first verse, but the verse that Prabhupada quotes in the purport from the 18th chapter, a very famous verse. I'm sure pretty much everyone here has it memorized. 1855, where Krishna makes it abundantly clear. He says to Arjuna, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tadvataha tattomam tadvata gyatva vishyate tad anantaram. One can understand me as I am, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service. And when one is in full consciousness of me by such devotion, he can enter into the kingdom of God. So there are two essential points in that statement by Krishna. First, how to understand him. It's only by bhakti. He doesn't say it's by bhakti. It's only by bhakti. No other process, not gyan, not ashtanga yoga, not yagyas, can give us tatvataha gyan, as he says, factual knowledge of the Lord. So that's the first point he makes. And then the second is what happens when we do understand him. We enter his kingdom, not to merge or dissolve and become nothing, but to continue our devotional service eternally in our original relationship with him. And our acharyas state that this is real liberation. Not to give up our identity and become some floating form of nothing in the Brahmajyoti, but our real liberation is to give up our false designations, the false idea that I am this body and this name and this nationality, and instead become situated in our real identity, in our original relationship with Krishna in Goloka. In Madhya Lila chapter 19, Lord Chaitanya, he's instructing Srila Rupa Goswami, and he quotes this verse from, I believe it's from the Narada Bhakti Sutras, where he says, Sarvapadiva niramuktam tatparatvena nirmalam hrishikena hrishekesha sevanam bhaktir uchate. Bhakti, or devotional service, means engaging all of our senses in the service of the Lord. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hrishikeshena, the master of all senses. And when the spirit soul renders this service unto the Supreme, there are two effects. One is he's freed from material designations, and one's senses are purified simply from being employed in the Lord's service. And this point that Lord Chaitanya makes, it connects to what Prabhupada is speaking in the purport, his mention of Naishkama karma. So Prabhupada writes that real nishkam, or activity without desire for material gain, it's not inactivity. It's not just not doing something. It is purified activity. It is activity done as service to Krishna. And this is what Gajendra is highlighting. We may not, saying may to be nice, but we will not be able to reach Krishna from dry renunciation, but through active service with devotion, he does become knowable. The inconceivable becomes conceivable. And so real renunciation, we learn from Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't mean stopping activity, it means purifying it. Because the soul is always active. We were meant to serve. We were designed that way. And so there's another verse in the 18th chapter. So Krishna, I love the 18th chapter because he's so direct. We're finally at the very end, and he can just lay it all out there. He's been subtle, he's been poetic, and then it's just, here it is, wrapping this up. But he says, Brahma bhutta prasannatma na sochati na kangshati sama sarvesha bhuteshu madbhaktim labhate param. When one becomes situated in the Brahma bhutta stage, self-satisfied, he neither hankers nor laments. In that state, he becomes qualified for pure devotional service. So in other words, devotional service, it's not a means for liberation, it's actually the activity of the liberated soul. It's what we were designed to do. And so this also relates to Prabhupada's point in the purport that even renounced sannyasis may fall down if they don't have that devotion. The implication is that renunciation of the material is unstable without bhakti. It can appear impressive externally, but because it lacks the internal anchor that comes from the genuine love of the Lord, it's not sustainable. And in the spiritual world, when we see the nature of devotional service, we can see it's not abstract. It's certainly not inactive. It's dynamic, and it's specific and eternal. It's specific to each individual and their eternal relationship with Krishna. Some liberated people in the spiritual world are Krishna's friends. Some are his servants. Some are his parents. Some are even his lovers. And we hear in the Bhagavatam about these eternal associates of Krishna. So, also in today's verse, Gajendra talks about how Krishna is the bestower of uncontaminated happiness and is the master of the transcendental world. So Krishna can eternally satisfy the soul. There is no end to service in the spiritual world. There's no boredom or stagnation. Nothing becomes dry. Everything is in relationship with Krishna. The material world is asat, achit, and nir ananda. It's temporary, it's full of ignorance, and it's devoid of real bliss. While the spiritual world is sat, chit, and ananda. It's eternal, it's full of knowledge or consciousness, and filled with ever-increasing bliss. Can you imagine just everyday things getting better? That never happens here. Things will be better for a little bit, and then it's going to get worse again. But everything just gets more and more ecstatic in the spiritual world because you are just completely absorbed in Krishna's service, and he's reciprocating with you every moment, I would say for the rest of your life, but time doesn't even exist in the spiritual world. So when a devotee gets even a drop of this, a drop of devotional taste, we could say, or taste for devotional life, they don't want liberation anymore. They don't care about the cessation of material pains or miseries. They just want to stay in Krishna's service, life after life. So to expand on the more on bhakti itself, I wanted to look at some of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the Madhya 19th chapter, 20th chapter. Yeah, 20th chapter. He's instructing Srila Sanatan Goswami. And in these two verses that I'll say, Lord Chaitanya is quoting verses from the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. And in the 11th canto here, Krishna is speaking to Uddhava. So Lord Chaitanya repeats these phrases to Srila Sanatan Goswami. So it's Madhya, we'll start at 20.137. But he says, Nas sadayati mam yogo, nas samkam dharma udava, nas vadhyaya yastapas, tyago yatta bhaktir mamorjita. My dear Uddhava, neither through mystic yoga, nor through impersonal monism, or analysis of the absolute truth, nor through the study of the Vedas, nor through austerities, nor renunciation, nothing satisfies me as much as unalloyed devotional service. This is Krishna speaking directly. He says what pleases him, and he lists the things that don't really do it for him. Right? Not yoga, not renunciation, not even sannyas. What truly pleases him is bhakti. And then the next verse, Krishna continues. He says to Uddhava, Bhaktyaham ekaya graya shradayatma prayasatam bhaktim punati manishta svapakan api sambhavat. Being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I am attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. This bhakti yoga system, which gradually increases attachment to me, purifies even a human being born among dog eaters. Even the most fallen person, even someone born in very inauspicious material circumstances, becomes purified and elevated by this process of bhakti. Because Devotion is what is important to Krishna. It's all he's asking of us. He doesn't care about our background. And sometimes we hear people say, whatever path you take leads to God, but it's not what Krishna says here. He says, Bhaktyaham ekaya graya. Only by devotional service can I be understood. And he also says this in the Bhagavad Gita. This isn't fanatical. It's just a fact. Like how there's only one way to eat food. You can only put it through the mouth. You can't push food into your eyes and ears. In the same way, you can't understand Krishna through speculation or austerity. You have to serve him. You have to serve him. That reestablishes your relationship as his eternal servant and him as a supreme Lord. Krishna is inconceivable, even by the greatest tapasis or scholars or yogis. But he does reveal himself to those who approach him with simple, surrendered bhakti. I often think about the story in the 10th canto with the Brahmins and their Brahmins' wives, where Krishna and Balaram and the Gopas, they're playing in the forest, and they get hungry. I mean, just watching our little community boys play. Your Mother Starry's here. Your whole class was practically boys. I mean, I'm exhausted looking at them. So naturally, they work up an appetite. They're playing in the forest all day, and they tell Krishna they're hungry. And Krishna says, oh, well, there are some Brahmins just down the way in the forest doing a yagya. Go ask them for some food and say, in the name of Krishna and Balaram, I'm asking for food, and they'll give it to you. So the boys went, they found the Brahmins doing yagya, and the Brahmins were absorbed in ritual and mantra, and they ignored them. The 10th canto says they don't even say yes or no when the boys ask for food. They just completely ignore them. And though they're experts in Shastra, they failed to realize the opportunity to serve God, the personal request of God. And so the boys go back to Krishna and they're really disappointed and they're sad that they were ignored. And then Krishna said, it's okay, just now, why don't you try going to their wives? So they went to the houses of the wives of the Brahmins. And the wives' response was immediate. Krishna and Balaram are hungry? Krishna and Balaram are hungry? And they throw open all of the, I just came from India, and there are many wonderful women just like this, throwing open cabinets and, no, don't go. No, that's not enough. You need another pot. And so they eventually take these 4 pots of offerings to the forest. And the interesting thing is the Brahmins' wives, they've never read Shastra. I don't know if they could read, actually, but they haven't studied anything. They don't know the rituals, they don't know any mantras, they certainly haven't been second initiated, but they had heard about Krishna. They'd heard about his flute, they'd heard about his beauty, his pastimes, and from hearing him, they loved him and recognized who he was. So they left everything and they ran to the forest with these 4 pots, and all they had were these 4 pots, but hearts full of devotion. And Krishna welcomed them warmly. And meanwhile, their husbands, these learned Brahmins, who were very pious, they reflected on their failure. And they cursed themselves in the Bhagavatam, like, what is wrong with us? We have all of these. They even say we're third born, and still we couldn't realize that the Supreme Lord was asking us to serve him. So Krishna is inconceivable to anyone other than a person with a heart full of devotion. So I'll just close with a couple more statements from Lord Chaitanya. He reinforces this point in that 20th chapter of Madhya Lila when he's instructing Srila Sanatana Goswami. And the title of that chapter is, I think it's The Lord Instructs Sanatana Goswami on the Science of the Absolute Truth. So everything you need to know, the absolute truth, it's bhakti. So he says, Ateva bhakti Krishna praptera upai abhideya bali tare sarva shastre gai. The conclusion is that devotional service is the only means for approaching the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This system is therefore called abhideya, the practice. All revealed scriptures declare this. This life, this very lifetime, is our apprenticeship. We're being trained in devotional service now so that we can serve Krishna perfectly in the spiritual world. Gajendra says today that Krishna is the bestower of uncontaminated happiness. And Lord Chaitanya elaborates on this in the next verses of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He says, Dana paile yache sukha boga falapai, sukha boga haite duk apani palai, taiche bhakti pale Krishna prema upajai, prema Krishnasvad haile bhava nashapai. He gives this nice analogy. He says, when one becomes actually rich, he naturally enjoys all kinds of happiness. When one is actually in a happy mood, all distressful conditions go away by themselves. No extraneous endeavor is needed. Similarly, as a result of bhakti, one's dormant love for Krishna awakens. When one is so situated that he can taste the association of Lord Krishna, material existence, the repetition of birth and death, comes to an end. And finally, he says, the goal of love of God is not to become materially rich or to be free from material bondage. That's not the goal of love of God, to become rich, be free from material bondage, because that is what a lot of people pray for. And Krishna even talks about that in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. That's not the goal. He says the real goal is to be situated in devotional service and enjoy transcendental bliss. Just like Gajendra is saying here, that Krishna is the bestower of unlimited happiness. He can give you this transcendental bliss. Lord Chaitanya continues, in the Vedic literatures, Krishna is the central point of attraction, and his service is our activity. To attain the platform of love of Krishna is life's ultimate goal. Therefore, Krishna, Krishna's service, and love of Krishna are the 3 great riches of life. We come back to Gajendra's prayer. The Lord is inconceivable, but he has chosen to make himself available, not to the proud, not to the learned, not to the austere, but to the simple, surrendered devotee. And when that devotee prays, let me serve you eternally, the Lord responds, yes, this is what I have been waiting for. Hare Krishna. That's what I prepared. So we love to hear reflections or comments. I'm sure corrections, maybe even questions.
Welcome back.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. I'm actually hoping that you will also share some of your realizations of your journeys in India and the Dham, reflections. And I really appreciate the 2 points that you were making, that not only are our senses purified, then we're also free from designations. Yes.
Oh, yes. That's real liberation, right? Yeah, to be freed from this false idea of who we are, not to merge into nothing. Thank you. Well, I can talk about India in a little bit, but Prabhu, you always have such nice comments. Nice reflections.
I just want to say welcome back, and it's so nice to hear how you preach so enthusiastically, and also you come well prepared, so that also says that you're absorbed in your service, you want to do a good job, so thank you for being a good example. And I really like how you emphasize the point that the essence of all Vedic literature is to which Lord Chaitanya is teaching to Sanatana Goswami's Bhakti Yoga. So I really like that point. I think sometimes and the example you gave of the Brahmanas, right? Like we study all these Vedic literatures, but we forget why we're doing it, so that we can love Krishna. And I was just reflecting on the wives of the Brahmanas, like you were mentioning, they didn't study anything. But then how is it that they developed so much love for Krishna? And the answer is because these saintly ladies, they would interact with the gopis. The gopis, they would come to sell their wares, their yogurt and milk and whatnot. And the Brahmana, the ladies, they talk. So, the gopis, they would come in. Do you know what Krishna did today? Do you know how much mischief he made today? Do you know what he was wearing today? Do you know how beautiful he looked when he was grazing the cows and the dust was coming on his face and he was glittering? And they would converse these wonderful things. And the gopis, the Brahmana Patnis, they would hear of all these conversations about Krishna. And the gopis, obviously, they had so much of affection for the Lord. And so when they kept hearing, naturally their love for Krishna was there. And when they got the opportunity to serve, they just dove in. So it's kind of important that, we study Shastra on a regular basis. And when we get the opportunity to serve, we will relish it. Otherwise, it'll be like, oh my God, I have to do this as well. So I just wanted to share that.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Well, I don't think I have anything so profound to say. Many people in this community are fortunate to either be from India or to travel quite a bit in the Dhams. So I was very blessed by Sri Radha Kalachandji that we were able to visit Vrindavan, Mayapur, and Mumbai. And Vrindavan's always had a special place in my heart, so I was really excited to share that with Raseshwari, and she also fell in love with Vrindavan, so I feel like I was a big success as a mother. We went to Gokul, which I had done before several years ago. We hired a driver and we went to Gokul, and we spent a whole day going to all of the pastime places. I mean, we packed it in, very ambitious, going to the butter place pastime, going to Nandagaon and Varshana, and then where the butter pastime took place. I can never remember the name of it because it's long, and Brahmandagat, where Mother Yashoda saw the universe within Krishna's mouth, and all of these wonderful places, and so many pilgrims were there. And then, but this time, Raseshwari is a Balaram Bhakta. So I had got the inspiration the night before. I was like, I wonder if where is a special Balaram pastime place we could go? And I found that you can visit Talavan. So we added that on at the very end, and we went to Talavan. And it's not a big forest anymore, but you have to drive off this beaten path. It's literally this little town. It looks like in the middle of nowhere, and it hasn't changed in years and years. And we got there just a few minutes before the darshan opened. And that was the best place that we went, because just the mood of the people there, where they were so simple and so sincere. You could tell the pujaris. There were a couple pujaris there. You could tell like their family had been doing this for generations, and very old. Some of them are old and missing teeth, but just so happy to show us. And when my husband speaks Hindi, I don't, but I am learning little things. Todi Hindi. But anyway, so my husband was speaking to the pujari, and he was saying, we came because my daughter really loves Balaram, and thank you so much. We're so excited. Because there were no pilgrims there. It was just us. And so the pujari, he bent down and he touched the ground where Raseshwari was standing, to touch his head. And it was just that simplicity of like, what are you doing? You were born in Vraj, but honoring her as a little devotee. So really what touched my heart in India the most, and we went to Mayapur for the first time, which was very special, and grateful for that. And I had a lot of reciprocation with the Nrsimhadev deity. I don't know if I should share that in public, but So, but my realization truly, after visiting all these sacred places, then we went to Sri Sri Radha Gopinath Mandir in Mumbai, which is the Chopati, ISKCON Chopati. And for people who don't know, my husband was a brahmachari there for 12 years, so that's home. And he grew up in Mumbai, his whole extended family. Nobody has left India. They all live in the suburbs of Mumbai. So anyway, so that was home. But the way we were treated there, it was just such high Vaishnav etiquette. I mean, it was like he was a Maharaj or something. And it's not, they weren't just treating him like that because he was their old friend, but just how perfectly they arranged the pickup from the airport. And when we didn't get, we were taking a while, they called the driver 3 times, you know, where are the guests, where are the guests? And just gave so much Mahadara Seshri every day for darshan. They were always finding ways to serve. And unlike, I have to say, other places in India, and I get it, I'm not making offenses to India, but unlike the other places I visited in India, nobody even looked twice at me. Being a white woman in India is not, you know, so common or so easy. But I felt very much part of a Vaishnav family, and I didn't even get that feeling at ISKCON Vrindavan, and I didn't get that feeling in ISKCON Mayapur even. So the way just all the devotees greet each other there, not just us, but, and they're so sweet, and they're so gentle, and there's, you know, everything is so respectful. I just got the realization this is actually the Dham, that the Dham isn't a place of pastimes. The Dham isn't necessarily the place where Krishna's footsteps are. There's a purport in the Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't remember the verse, I'm sure Prabhupada Prabhu knows, where Srila Prabhupada says that what makes holy places holy are the holy people that live there, the holy people that are serving there. So my realization was where there are sincere devotees, that's actually the Dham. And it's because that is what, that's what Lord Chaitanya came to experience the mood of Radha and to bring the holy name, but he also showed us how we should act as devotees. And that's what I saw at Chopati. I saw the highest example of how we should be acting as devotees, and that gave me more pleasure, I have to say, than, you know, petting a cow in Vrindavan. It's having those loving exchanges in community. That was my realization. Do you want to say something, Jaishnav? Anything else? Rasish, you want to say something about your India trip? So funny. She's such a chatterbox, but then not here. Okay. Well, thank you so much for welcoming me back. Thank you for tolerating me. And Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.